Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Solo Sagas. Chad is talking about some chicken stew, which has peas in it. And it got me thinking about my characters and how much I tend to make my characters cooks or bakers because I enjoy those things, and how most of them actually don't care what they eat as long as, like, none of them have foods they don't like. I hate peas with passion. I feel like I should start working that into my characters. Maybe it's always peas. I don't know. Thanks for joining. I like how peas is spelled peas. Like, it changed it. Oh, good job. I hope everyone's doing well today. Today we're playing some Vagabond, much like last week, because this is episode 2 of the ongoing, probably mini-series of trying this system out. We're playing this here Reevnolb module from back in the day, AD&D 2nd edition. And last week, my character Reevnolb, a goblin hunter, not a goblin hunter, but a goblin hunter, much like a ranger, was transported from his world where he was investigating a growing marsh known as the Fen of Moog. A strange fog arose, and the swamp around him changed, and as it did so, some other characters introduced themselves, or rather were found. A human woman and a goblin woman. They ended up joining forces, found out their names were Nio and Payne Austin, and we ended with their torch sputtering out, their homemade torch that they made from what little dry wood and vines they could find in this swamp that they find themselves in. They're searching currently for a dwarf named Sorsha, because that dwarf was part of Payne and Nio's group before the mists apparently stole them away from their world as well. And so as we ended last time, Payne had just thrown Reeve into the swamp, trying to get herself onto the skiff that they had found, while Nio helped Reeve get back onto the skiff. The torch sputtered out, and that's where it ended. There's a couple things that I want to do as far as bookkeeping, because there were a few, there was at least one major mistake that I made, and I wanted to make sure that I fixed it this week. So whenever doing checks, by the way, hello Guild Superior. Hi Dave, how's it going? Do a quick shout out for you. Good to see you. When doing checks, which are pretty much everything that you do in this game, you roll against the difficulty class, and if you meet or beat it. So, let's see. You pass if you roll equal or above the difficulty. So last week, I wasn't sure on that, and I couldn't remember if it was meet or beat or just beat. And so now, way of clarification, it is different than last week's game. We're going to roll that a little oddly. Yep, Reeve does not know what a dwarf is, because Reeve is from my homebrew world of Haven, where dwarves once existed in another world and no longer exist in the current world. And so where Payne and Nio come from the Forgotten Realms, where dwarves are plentiful, Reeve has no idea. And Reeve has never been to... Yeah, no dwarves in Haven. No orcs either. Elves almost died out, and if it wasn't for a minor deity, there would not be elves. But he saved them because he was the favored of the elven god before the elven god died. So much lore there. That'll be another episode of something. You are absolutely welcome for the shout out. Good to see you, Dave. Looking forward to your game over on Guild Superior this evening. But in the meantime, I don't remember if that was everything that I was going to bring up, but we can always roll with it as we go. So on the screen now, under my video, you're going to see Reeves Mini, now that I've made one over on Hero Forge. I just realized that I need to update my Hero Forge message here on Twitch, because I don't think that link is no longer, or is any longer, correct. I don't think so. I'll have to change that. Also, if you want to know more about Vagabond, head over to the Drive-Thru RPG link that is currently in chat. It is our affiliate link, and check it out. It is currently available on, or in PDF. I'm going to check something, because the last time I looked, it was not up for print because they were altering some things and had to change. Nope, still, they're currently waiting on their new files to be accepted before proofs are ordered. So currently there is still no print on demand for this. However, keep an eye on that if you want a physical copy. I did order a physical copy from their website directly, hoping that it would be here this month before I started. That didn't happen, but hopefully by the time I end this, I can hold up a book and say, this is what it looks like. Well, good to see everybody. Let's do a quick introduction of our characters that have shown up. Reeves is there next to the book covers. We've also met Nio, the human. Let me double check. I don't remember what Nio is. Rogue. She's a rogue. And in addition, we have met Payne Austin, the goblin pugilist. I'll leave them up on the screen until we need to take a look at the book some more. In the meantime, the sun, or what little light they could see, they couldn't actually see a sun, but the trio were moving their way slowly, pushing this skiff through kind of treacherous waters. They're much deeper than Reeve was expecting, but he's not where he thought he was any longer. The Fen of Moog is definitely not a deep swamp, whereas this has some areas that are several feet deep, and he found that out the hard way. In the meantime, he is pushing the skiff with the pole, the skiff's pole, and kind of going by the very dim, or very shallow vision, I guess I should say, that he has right now. He can see in the dark, but there's still fog and mist clinging to the area around him, and so whereas Payne has decided to call it a night and is passed out snoring on the front of the skiff, Nio sits akimbo, kind of in the middle, turning every so often to keep an eye off into the distance, even though it's really dark for her and she cannot see as a human. No dark vision for her. They don't have any more torches, and they haven't been able to find any further wood or vines currently. We'll do some checks here throughout the night to see how that goes. I'm going to do a roll here because Nio, well, so in the first episode we did talk about how Nio and Payne are not going to be omnipresent characters. I don't necessarily, I'm not going to reveal what their thinking is, because my character, or the view that we're getting here is only of my character. So for Reeve, he's been kind of treated badly by Payne Austin, a fellow goblin, but a goblin from a different world. And so he says, actually, he's just been dejected. Ever since being thrown in the water by her while he was trying to get on the skiff, he's just been a little put out. And every so often, Nio does look at him and maybe looks like she's about to say something. So I'm going to do a influence check for Reeve to see if he can get her to open up about what is Payne's problem. So my influence is terrible. Terrible. I need to roll above an 18 on this d20. Need to find my dice roller. There we go. And I got a 6. And so even though hello Stacy, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. We're just going over some of what happened last week and then talking about Reeve interacting with Nio while Payne is asleep. Even though he kind of puts his body language in a way that he thinks maybe is unintimidating and trying to open up to Nio here, and he says,
I was, I thought maybe because she was a goblin, she wouldn't. I run into this every so often with people where I'm from. It's not that weird, but there are people who get a little worried about us more in recent history, because there are some goblins that have just made some really bad decisions, and so people kind of will judge us because of that. But I kind of thought we would have common ground.
And Nio's face turns to him. He can see her clearly, but he notices her her eyes wide, pupils huge as she tries to take in his features. They do kind of rest generally where he is, and he says, she says, and that's it. That's where we're going to leave that, because that was a terrible roll. She goes back to watching around. And no worries about being late, Stacy. I'm just glad you were able to join it all. Thank you. So as the night progresses, I am going to roll a check here to see if they notice anything that will allow them to make another torch. This is going to be survival, and I am going to use Reevnolb's ability to do so. However, I'm going to put it at disadvantage, or there's a word for it. Hindered. Let's go ahead and hide these minis for the moment. Hindered is similar to disadvantage in D&D. However, rather than rolling 2d20 and taking the lowest, I'm going to roll the d20. I'm going to roll a d6. I'm going to subtract the d6 from the d20. So what I normally need is a 6 for Reevnolb to find what I'm looking for. And I think this will show me separate. Let's find out. Nope, it did not show the separate rolls. Okay, so let's just roll a d20. 18, that would make it. That's great. And I don't think I can fail this at this point, which is great. So even removing that 3 gives me a 15, and I'm aiming for that 6. Easily, I do spot some branches that are rather torch-shaped, and they are near what it looks like to be a cluster of vines, or maybe they're roots. It's hard to tell, and they're all kind of dried up and sitting on a area of ground that rises up from the murky water. I will push the skiff in that direction, and as I do so, keeping an eye out, I just want to do a quick detect check to make sure there are no creatures, no crocodiles like last time. That was rough. I don't want to get into another fight right now. We're resting. But let's do a quick detect check. And actually, I am going to do this one with the hinder die as well, just because of the fog. Oh no, so we've got a 7 minus 1, so that's a 6 total. Guild Superior Dave asks, is Vagabond designed for solo play? So the interesting thing is it isn't, but they do have guidance. Actually, I didn't show this to everyone last time. So there is guidance for the rules to play solo. However, guidance is real sparse. That being said, the rules really lean into not having a GM necessary, or at least the GM never rolls anything. You can technically have the GM roll the damage dice for creatures, but as someone playing solo, completely easy to just do it myself. So the directions. Oh, by the way, completely failed that. Even with my awesome detect, did not make it. So the rules for solo, actually probably be easier. Do this. So the guidance is, while in solo co-op play, which is just one-on-one, use these guidelines to help the story emerge. You can do so with the written module or with the procedures herein. Vagabond is designed to allow you to tackle situations as you would like to, with the rules serving as a guide for how you make that fun. If you want to play a fantasy pop star that recruits an army of goblins to turn them against the dungeon boss, that is just as valid as a brutal monster slayer hacking their way through that same dungeon. If you want to roll up a 10th level hero and solo your way through a quest for first level heroes, that is also fine. You're given a toolkit here for solo play, but these rules are less flexible in games run by a GM. Solo integrity. Group play allows the GM to hide characteristics like armor, immune, and status immunities from the players. Unfortunately, this isn't feasible for practical in solo play. You are assumed to take on the adventure as the hero, which comes with its risks, include being potentially unprepared for the dangers that you face. There may be times where retreat is your best option, but it's entirely fair to believe your hero knows certain things about enemies you face. That's it. That's the entirety. That's the whole solo section. But that being said, it essentially is just a reinforcement of how I have always played solo games, especially. And again, if you watched last week, I talked about how originally I got a monster manual for. That was my first book. I didn't even know what the rules of the game were, so we just made things up and played using the monster manual. Once we got the actual rules for things and I was playing solo, and I've carried this through being an adult too, especially as a game designer, I will make entire balanced parties, completely imbalanced parties, really power, like min-maxed parties, and I will throw them against what I've created. So whether it's monsters or some kind of trap or something like that, run them through things, adventures or whatever, to also do some playtesting before I send things out to be playtested by other folks, because then I can see what's obviously broken before I send it out for further playtesting. And with that in mind, I don't mind solo play like this. It's how I grew up when there weren't people to play with, and this was before the internet and before things like game stores that I I don't want to say before there were game stores you could go game in, but there were definitely not game stores in my area where you could go find other players or even go to and play these games. So, no, it's not designed for solo, but it very easily is soloable, especially if you make sure to pay attention to things like not cheating. Yeah, or game stores that are welcoming. All right. So I failed that detect check. I think everything's fine. You're welcome, Stacy. I am always down to share the story that is me. Hello, Ty. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you. Do a quick shout out there. You're doing some no game. I didn't know if you were doing things on your own channel. I know you do things over at Guild Superior all the time, and currently also over on Folk and Myth. I'm going to do a shout out for Folk and Myth as well, so that if people are watching and want to go follow them and see your current new Varden game, they can do so. There we go. Go follow all those wonderful people. They do good things. Fun things. All right. I don't see anything going on. I am debating. I'm going to use my yes, no, maybe die here to see if there is some kind of treacherous thing waiting. That is a big yes. I don't necessarily want to make these creatures. I don't want to always have just monsters. So let's do, gonna roll on screen. If there is an odd on this die, there will be some, there are a lot of awesome actual plays, aren't there, Stacy? So many. Just to make this fair, I'm going to roll on screen, and if there's an odd on this die, it'll be a creature that is waiting. If it is even, then it will be a some kind of hazard that isn't a monster. Even. All right, so as I push the skiff over there, I kind of use the pole and I'm poking the ground. Seems all right. But as I tell Nio to wait, and I just kind of glare at Payne, who's at least pretending to be asleep. I'm not sure anymore. I haven't heard snoring in a little bit, but I've been focused on other things. Ty is working on Guild Superior's birthday bash. Can't wait to see that. That's going to be a ton of fun. If I remember right, that is some Morkborg coming in the near future over on Guild Superior for Dave's big old birthday. Yeah, I remembered right. Morkborg. All right, so I step over and I kind of hop onto the ground. It's spongy, and I'm pushing with my booted foot kind of ahead of me to make sure, and everything seems all right. So I start heading towards this pile of this bramble, sticks, and what might be like either vines or like I can't think of what tree that is. That kind of, they're like strips of it kind of come off. Are they palm trees? Maybe coconut trees? Anyway, there are something like that where it looks kind of fibrous that I'm like, oh, that would make a great torch. And I start heading that way. And what I didn't realize, that even though there is ground here, there is soil, and there's moss and all that, and that's kind of what has hidden it. This little island is largely made of roots. And I step forward. There's like this slight ripping noise as the moss separates, and I just fall through. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a check to see if I can catch myself. I need to do a reflex for this. So I need to roll an 11. I didn't see it. I am going to give myself disadvantage. I'm going to be hindered. I'm not going to fall far enough to take damage, so we don't need to worry about that. There we go. Hindered. D6. So our D20. Not terrible. Minus a D6. So a total of 10. And I needed to get... Oh no, I needed to get above an 11. Yep, I fall right through. There's a splash, and I hear a shout, but then there's just water in my ears and me splashing around. You were meant to roll a 1d6. The dice are so mean to me today. I am currently not having a good day, and I've fallen in such a way that, like, I can see that there are roots around me, but I'm not seeing really a good way to get up. Ty, thanks for the lurk. Have fun walking the doggo. Enjoy the outside and the doggo walking for me. I appreciate it. So now, even though they're not my point of view, we are going to roll for Nio to see if she can get over there and help me out. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to get out of this pickle I've found myself in. So she could not see me, just to be clear. She heard me cry out. She shouted, and now must try and make her way blindly. This is going to be great. So we're going to do a detect check for her. Also hindered. So we need a 12 or better. Already, she's failed. But let's see what our total is. That is a 6. As she begins looking around for me, she too, she actually weighs more than I do, so she's probably going to fall in before that. Let's do a reflex for her. She needs a 9 or better. Oh my gosh. She rolled a -2. Reeve hears this crashing noise as Nio falls through, smashing into the water nearby. He looks around. He can see her form, and he can see the roots that she fell through. Some broke off. And he's going to start looking around to try and find a way to climb up. Let's do a detect for him. Now down here, nice. I was going to do a hinder die for this because he's actually kind of below where all the fog is, so that isn't so bad. And even though he is like splashing around the water and stuff, he's not wearing heavy armor. He's wearing light armor. It's not going to pull him down. And so with that 19, he does look around. He can see there are ways to climb up And so I'm going to swim over through these branches, through these various roots.
Niall, just stop flailing. Stop flailing. Okay, just here, hang on to this.
And I'm going to like pull a vine down or a root down and put it in her hand. And when I do so, she calms down and kind of pulls herself, not up, but holds herself from sinking into the water. She also is wearing light armor and is not in a bad situation. I look up and I see, kind of wreathed by mist, a goblin's face staring down, her nose still missing. It's not growing back. And she's kind of chuckling.
You guys need some help?
Yes, if you would just mind throwing down some rope. Do you have any rope? Just tie it to the skiff. Now I have to see if Payne has some rope, or if anyone has rope to... Payne does not, that's right. Niall and Payne don't have any of their gear. They just have their armor and like what they were wearing or carrying, because they had camped. So let's see what Reeve might have left on the... Nope. There is nothing for her to toss down.
No, I'm not seeing anything. I think I can climb out. Can you boost me up, Niall?
And I'm going to try and climb out. This is going to be... We're going to call it a brawl, even though it's not strictly... Brawl isn't necessarily fighting, it is also brute force, so I am trying to pull myself up much like the rope in gym class, for those of you who had to do that. That's how the Mists of Barovia get ya. So I need to get... Unfortunately, I'm not the strongest of people. I need a 15. And I got an 11. Amazing. I start pulling myself up. I am just not strong enough, and even with Niall kind of boosting me a little bit, the vine kind of begins to shake a little. It's pulling through, and just the jostling, I fall back into the water.
This isn't gonna work.
No, I don't think this is going to work at all. We need to see if we can get out from under this. And I'm going to try and lead her. We're going to try and find another way out. So this is going to be, I think, a survival check to try and find an exit, like some kind of opening large enough for us. We might be able to force it open if there's nothing large enough. Natural 20. It takes me a couple moments, but kind of swimming, and we're moving our way through, hanging on to vines and roots, and I do find an opening large enough for me to fit through. And as I squeeze through, I help. Actually, we'll do a brawl check for Nio. Actually, it's gonna be. She's gonna help. I'm gonna give a favored die to my roll, so I'm gonna roll a d20 and add a d6. I need to get above a 15. That isn't the right die. Sorry about that. Ignore that completely. Oh, I should have taken that first roll. The roots are thick here, and we just can't seem to get it open enough for her to get out.
Okay, look, I don't really want to be left in this swamp by myself with pain. I'm gonna get you out of here.
I feel like Naya would probably laugh a little at that, but she looks worried. Her eyes watching around wildly because she can't see anything.
You're gonna have to trust me. I'll be right back. I promise.
And I kind of grip her hand tightly for a moment before kicking off and swimming around to the skiff. When I get to the skiff, I find that Pain is not on it. She's staring down the hole that Nio fell into. And so using the little island and the skiff, I climb up onto it. I look at her, and then I sigh.
Over here. She's waiting at... I can't get her out through this spot that I came out of. Can you help?
She starts a little and looks back at me. Doesn't say anything, but walks over and gets on the skiff as I push it off and quickly kind of pull it over in that direction. Now, we've made a lot of noise, so I am going to roll to see if we have caught the attention of any critters. If we had done this quietly, I wouldn't be so worried about it, but we're smashing through things and splashing around. So let's do another die roll. If it's odd, something we'll have noticed. If it's even, it's not. Of course something noticed. All right. I feel like it is nighttime. So I'm going to use the bookmarks here real quick to go down to our critters section. There we are, bestiary. Oh, interesting. Yeah, Raven, you thought Knott's rolls were bad. I mean, I feel like really anything that I ever need to roll for while streaming, pretty bad. So while this has been going on, and while I went and got the skiff and been coming back around, Niall heard something moving in the water, slight sloshing. And I know we're going out of my first person for Reeve. But she calls out and she says, I think there's something in the water down here. And so I start pulling faster. And then all of a sudden I hear, yes, something is happening down here. And we're going to roll 3d6 as 3d6 giant leeches appear out of the water. I'll be honest, I don't know if I want to deal with up to 18 of these things. We're going to do 1d6. 3. That sounds much more manageable for this situation as far as rolling, just playing it solo on this stream. However, I'm going to give them, they're going to attack, and then we're going to start this combat. And Niall's going to need to do a reflex to try and dodge out of the way of these attacks, but all of them are going to be hindered. She can't see these creatures. So she needs to make 3 separate reflex rolls. That first one is a 12. Next is a 19. The last one is 12 as well. All right, now we're going to compare to what? Where is she? All right, so Nio needed to get above a 9. So all of them were above a 9, which is great. She hears these splashes, manages to dodge out of the way as it's more perception of what she's hearing rather than what she can see. Maybe every so often there's just enough ambient light here that she sees something, but for the most part, she's not seeing anything. And then we're going to roll for initiative. I almost just rolled dice, physical dice. So she's going to go on a 9. Hayne, Reeve. Oh, sorry. She gets a bonus to her. No, that's right. There's no bonuses for this. My apologies. Hayne will go on an 8. Reeve. Go on a 15. So hearing her call out, Reeve is going to dive back into the water. This time he's clenching his short sword in his teeth as he's like swimming down over to where she is. He comes up. He can see these things now, and he's going to try and stab one. So to do so, I need to make a finesse check. So I need to roll a 16 or better. Natural 20. Excellent. So we're going to roll 2d6. For 11. What do these silly creatures have for hit points? 4. All right. There's a squelching noise and then like a pop as Reeve just pops out of the water, stabs forward at one of these leeches that looks like it's about once again to chomp or try to chomp down on Nio. It kind of lets out this high-pitched screech and then goes slack. Pain above dives in the water. Reeve can hear the splash and follows. She also can see, and so taking or assessing the situation, sees the 2 other leeches and will go ahead and she's going to do a brawl check because she is a pugilist and she needs an 8 or above. Oh no, critical fumble. Well, this is the first time we get to do this, so let's check and see. Hmm. There might not be criticals. Let me try this just to speed things up. No results found. Okay. Well, apparently, that critical is amazing. Great for natural 20s. Doesn't matter. But that being said, we're going to roll a d4 for her damage. I'll need to look into that. I feel like that's me. Oh, 1. That's terrible. Terrible. She has 1 point of damage to this eel, or this giant leech. There's still 1 left, and it is Nio's turn. She's blind, and she is going to pull out the dagger that's on her side. I believe she has a dagger. Let me double check. Yep. And is going to attack essentially blindly. So we're doing a roll minus d6 for her hindered die. Let's clear the dice away. Not great. And she has a hinder die. So she gets a 3. She rolled a 1. There was a chance she was going to stab either of her compatriots there. However, she just kind of swings wildly into the water. There are 2 leeches left. It is their turn. One is going to go after Nio. That was their original aim. So once again, she needs to do a reflex minus her hindered die. And the 14, even though she can't see it, she hears it coming. She dodges out of the way. The other one is going to go after Reeve, who killed its fellow leech. Its packmate? Who knows? So he's going to need to do a reflex. He's not quite as good at this as she is, but he can see it coming, so we need an 11 or above. Natural 20. He dodges easily out of the way. There's a splashing of water as he moves. And now this leech is kind of moved in between him and Pain. So as he moves out of the way, he swings at it, with it being back to his turn. The 6 is going to miss, however, I believe. Let me double check. Reeve and his finesse. Yep, he needed a 16 or above. Boo for him. He's got a dagger or something. He's better at might than he is at finesse stuff. Nio, knowing where the one is that attacked or attempted to attack her, is going to attack. She still gets the hinder die, however. And that's an 11. She needed a 6 or better. So yeah, that totally hits. She's going to roll a d4 for the damage. Does 2 points of damage. This is not the one that Pain punched, and so now they're both damaged. And let's just double check. I think they have 4 hit points. Four hit points. And finally, Pain is going to take a swing at the one that's in between her and Reeve. She needs an 8 or better. Got a 10. That's enough. It's a D4 for damage. Only 1 point. Now they are both half alive. And it means it's their turn. Swimming towards Pain because that's the direction it was going to begin with. It's going, the first leech is going to attack Pain. Pain needs an 11. Actually, she's more of an endurance. She's going to like try and shrug off the pain if it hits her. So we're going to roll an endure check. She needs an 8 or better. And got a 4. Terrible. Terrible. The dice, I swear. Just not our friends today. Alright, so it is going to do 2 points. Well, let's go ahead and roll it. The average is 2, but now it's going to bite her. It latches onto her. So now she is restrained. And next turn, if it's still alive, she's just going to automatically start taking damage. Two points of damage to Pain. She cries out, maybe surprised. Not so much in pain, but maybe irritation and surprise. And then the other one's going to go ahead and try and attack Nio. Got a 19. I am pretty sure she dodges out of the way. Let's see. She needed... Yep. Got 10 more than what she needed for her reflex. She dodges out of the way, and that brings us back to the top of the turn. That is Reeve. Reeve looks at the two of them. There's a thought process here that Nio has been kinder to him and more helpful. Maybe if he can help this other goblin out, she won't be so freaking mean to him. So he goes over, kind of reaches out and grabs the leech, or tries to, and then is going to like stab down so he doesn't accidentally stab her because it's attached to her. He's all like, hold still, don't move. Pain is like, don't tell me what to do. And we're going to roll. An 11. Not enough. I needed a 16. Stop moving around. Pain glares at Reeve and is going to essentially try to like smoosh the leech between her fists. She's going to make a brawl. She needs an 8 or better. 17. D4 for her damage. 3. It is enough. There's this spray of that goop that's kind of in leeches as it explodes outward. One more of them is now gone. Only one remains, which Nio is going to attempt to take care of. She's going to roll with her dagger. She needs a 6 or better. 10, that is enough. Let's see if she can end this. 2 points is all she needed. Excellent. As she like scrapes the leech off of her dagger, she looks around. Everyone stops thrashing around for a moment, listens. Let's get out of here, shall we?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Pain begins swimming back towards the goblin-sized hole. Between the two of them, and I'm going to roll with Pain's stats instead. Actually, between the three of them, because the goblins will both swim out, and will both like try and open it up, and then Nio on the inside will also try to pull on the roots and such. So we're going to use Pain stats. She's doing a brawl, so she needs an 8 or above, and she's going to have a d6 die to help her out as well. 8 or above. 8 or above. 19 with the wet cracking that, you know, wet wood does. The roots split and she swims out. The trio clamber clumsily onto the skiff, kind of like throwing themselves down, coughing up some water. Nio gets up and goes over next to... She kind of feels around until she finds Pain. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure? I saw that thing latch onto you pretty hard. I said I am fine.
She glares at him.
Fine.
He goes over, picks up the pole. Begins to like push around this island, trying to find maybe a more solid approach to get some of this tinder that they're looking for in order to start or make a torch. I'm gonna roll another die. If it's odd, he finds something. If not, he's gonna have to try and get over there again without falling through. You know what? I just said it and I forgot what I said. What did I say? Did I say odd they find it? Even they don't? Actually, I can look back at my... I'll look back at my caption here. Odd, he finds something. Excellent. Rolled an 11. As I'm pushing around, I see that there's like a bramble that is closer to the far side that we didn't see before. Welcome back, Ty. Good to see you. Yeah, Guild Superior, Dave. I there are definitely times where I'm just like, I wish my life was transcribed so I could go back and read what I just said, because I don't remember. Carefully this time, and actually Pain's watching, even though she hasn't said anything. He's like step lightly onto the edge of this little island, reaching forward to grasp some of these dried vines and roots and branches and just start kind of loading some stuff onto the skiff. It goes much easier, and I managed to not fall through. So then we're going to do a craft check. We're going to see if this one will be a little better than last time. Everyone's craft is kind of crap, but Nio might actually... Well, but Nio's having a hard time seeing everything, so we're going to go with Pain actually tries to make this. She has a little better chance. Not much. That is what she needed. Oh no, wait, she needed a 17 or better. But still, she manages to make a torch that will actually produce a good amount of light for the time on the clock. So we're going to bring back our progress clock. There we go. When that progress clock fills up, that torch is going to go out. All right. Might as well bring back my fellows while we're not doing anything directly that you need to see for the background. Because he didn't actually make a difference in saving her, I don't feel like that changed Payne's mind about Reeve, but we're going to let the dice decide. I'm going to have him do a check. I think this is influence. Yep, it's influence, and he's going to roll it with a hinder die. So he's already terrible at this and is going to be handicapped even more by the roll that, oh, it's not going to make it any difference, that extra d6. That's a 4. Yep. Even though he, tried real hard, she just doesn't care. She frumps off, plops her feet in the water, is like kicking her bare feet up and splashing a little bit.
Don't you think you should be quiet? We did just, never mind.
She splashes harder as she glares at him. After a moment, Nio goes over and sits down. I am going to try and listen to see if I can tell what they're saying. Make a detect check. So I need a 6. I rolled a 1. Yeah. Good job, dice. They're talking very low. I can't make it out. There's water in my ears. And hey, let's get me to 600 followers. That'd be pretty sweet. What am I at right now? Oh, I'm at almost 600 now. I didn't actually realize. That'd be pretty freaking sweet. And in the meantime, you could also go over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe, and help build the audience over there. That'd be pretty awesome. Thanks, Dave. Okay, so not hearing what they're saying, feeling pretty annoyed and put out by Payne's attitude and just kind of this whole situation, I start pushing our way through. The rest of the night goes pretty uneventfully. At some point, we decide to stop moving through and like moving through the marsh itself. Just kind of like find a safe spot. Let's do a survival check to see how well we're hidden. And now that she can see, that might be... Reeve is pretty good at it. He only needs a 6, but... Yep, he's actually the best. So keeping an eye out. And using the torch to kind of help illuminate a little better. Oh my god, I rolled freaking a 5. How is this so bad? They do their best at finding a location that's kind of out of sight, maybe that they are able to see around them in case anything comes toward them. And now that I rolled so badly, I am going to roll once again just to see if anything else bugs them during the night. Let's roll a d12. If it is odd, something will bug them. If it is even, the night goes uneventfully. It is even. They're worried, and they do set up some watches. Nothing else bugs them throughout the night. Reeve still wants to know more, but I feel like he's pushed his luck with Nio and Pain, so he just passes his watch quietly. He doesn't pester them at all. And in the morning, it's less dawn and more of like lightning in the gray around them. The fog has thinned. They can see off into the swamp some more as the light grows. But there's still no blue sky. There's still no sign of sunlight. There's no sign of like life beyond the 50 or so feet that they can see. When she starts whistling because she's bored, Reeve glares at Pain, but doesn't say anything. She's not splashing in the water again, so at least there's that. And I feel like maybe he's going to try his luck again and try and do an influence to get more information out of Nio. Again, he's horrible at this. Going to need an 18 or above. That's a 7.
Niall, I was just wondering, because she's really kind of mean and gross. And did I mention mean?
Nio just kind of sighs and shakes her head and looks off away from both of them, like she wishes she was somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll just I'm gonna go row some more.
And it's shortly thereafter. We're gonna roll to see who hears this. We're just going to roll a d6. If it's 1, it's Reeve. If it's 2, Pain, and 3 is... 1 through 2 is Reeve. 3 through 4 is Pain, and 5 through 6 is Nio. 2, Reeve. Alright, so Reeve kind of perks up. He's listening.
Do you hear that?
No, I don't hear anything.
No, wait, I think he's right. I do hear something.
So all of them start listening. Off in the distance, there is shouting. Reeve can't make out what's being said. It's words, angry words, but Pain kind of perks up, listening around.
Where is it? Where is she? I hear her. Where is she?
Let's do a survival check for Reeve to see if he can determine which direction this is coming from.
I don't know. It's really hard to say. There's lots of bouncing around the sound. You need to find her. Where is she?
Nio kneels down next to Pain. It's okay. It's okay. We hear her. It's okay. Yes, the dice do smoke. They are... what is this set called? Here on DD Dice. Goblin's Cauldron. I think I picked it for the name, but also they're cool looking and they smoke. So Nio seems, very excited, worried. So does Pain.
Uh, is this the person you lost? Yes, you idiot. Find her.
So I begin rowing. I'm just pushing this skiff forward. I'm going to make another check. If it fails, we're moving in the wrong direction. Need a 6 or better. Come on, dice. There we go. Whether it's luck or just skill or, perception. Excuse me. Reeve begins rowing in a certain direction, begins pushing the skiff that way. He starts making out words. A lot of it he just doesn't understand. It's in a different language, but he hears this barrel of a voice just like rolling through the swamp around him. Give it back, you oversized bagpipe bladder! And as he rows into this kind of clearing, he sees across the way there is this very squat, thick woman with brilliant orange hair, completely encased in armor, except for her head. Her head was apparently covered recently, but she's playing tug of war over a helmet. On the other side of that helmet is an enormous frog, its tongue stretched out and attached to the helmet itself. You could see the tongue as it stretches, and the frog is like trying to backpedal while this woman is also like just with all of her might trying to pull the helmet free. We're just going to do a quick roll. Actually, we're going to do the first roll for Sorsha. She needs to do a brawl check. She's pretty good at this. She needs a 6 or better. Oh no. There is the snap of the tongue as it flies back, and this gulping sound as the helmet disappears into the frog's mouth. It lets out this deep rumbling and then jumps into the water. However, surrounding Sorsha are 3 other giant toads. We're going to go ahead and roll for initiative again. We're going to start with Sorsha. She gets a 6. That's probably pretty terrible. Reeve gets a 7. Also not great. Payne got a 10. Nio with the 9. And now we've got our giant toads. Of course, 19. So those giant toads hop forward toward this dwarven woman. Payne cries out, "Sorsha, behind you!" She turns her head, looking slightly in attached to her arm is this enormous shield. She didn't drop it. Hey, Maz, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a bit. Good to... I started doing a shout out here. Hang on. I hope your day's doing well. Attached to her arm is this enormous shield, especially compared to this dwarf. It's like her size, and she just kind of reattaches it like it was part of it was dangling on her arm as she was playing tug of war with the toad who disappeared, and she holds it up and just kind of like braces for these toads to attack. She's going to use, all three of them are right there. None of the trio on the skiff have not even gotten close to reaching. So let's go over to Sorsha's character sheet here. Her endure is a 6. That's not bad at all. So we need a 6 or above. Hypnotoads. 13 on the first. Oh no, a 4 on the next. Actually, this might change things, so let's take a look at toads. I'm going to hide the figures here real quick, just so we can all look together. Yeah, so the first one hits. Its tongue lashes out, hits Sorsha's armor. All of a sudden, Sorsha is like pulled backwards and is now within biting distance of this creature. Because that is the case, she does. The toad does get to attack with a bite as well. Not 2d20. We're going to re-roll that. An 8. Where is her? Endured, that is enough. There's a chomping noise, and Pain actually cries out. She's like, no! But then Sorsha just kind of looks down at the toad's jaw clamped onto her armor. Now let's just double check, because if you succeed, and there are multiple dice, you only ignore one of the damage dice. So let's just double check. It does 1d6 of damage. So because it ignores the first die or your choice of die, does no damage. So there's one more toad. However, one thing I need to double check, because I don't recall. Is what restrained gives. Nope, going the wrong way. There we go. Restrained, it is vulnerable. Okay, so she can't move, and this other toad is going to have an extra d6 to try and attack. Or rather, there is a negative d6 to this roll to attempt to endure it. Once again, Sorsha has a 6 for endure. So let's see what we get. D20. Oh no, she already fails, even without the d6. Ends up being a 1. Sorsha kind of is laughing at this toad that originally was like, that's kind of glommed onto her, and she doesn't notice the other one come up and chomp down on her arm, which is also fully armored, but it bites down into that like that open space where her elbow is. She grunts in pain, doesn't cry out, but is not happy whatsoever. And let's roll damage. After I go back to Giant Frog Toad. Giant Frog Toad does 1d6 of damage here. Oh no, that's terrible. There is a scream, actually. At first she just grunts in pain, but as it bites down harder, that was a huge chunk of her hit points in one bite. Pain echoes the cry. Obviously, there's a connection between Pain and Sorsha that even without rolling it, Reeve is picking up on. And now it is Pain's turn. She doesn't even wait for the skiff to get closer. She's jumping in the water and swimming. So you can use your action to move, kind of like dashing in D&D. So she's going to do that. She doesn't get to attack when she gets there, but she gets up and is like right next to the frog that is latched onto, or that bit Sorsha's arm. Because it didn't attack her with a tongue as well, it is not restraining her, just the first one. Have fun tonight with House of Eidolons. I am looking forward to it. Thanks for tuning in, Guild Superior. Let's do one more shout out so everyone can make sure to go over and follow you. And tune in tonight at 8 p.m. for House of Eidolons, which is going to be a ton of fun. Good to see you, Dave. Thank you so much. All right, so Reeve pushes... Actually, you know what? Reeve has a bow. Reeve stops pushing and looks at Nio, also armed with a bow, and just makes a judgment call. He doesn't think she needs to get over there in order to help out. So he's going to, something he's really good at, try and shoot this creature that is restraining this short woman. He needs a 6 or better. That was close, but he managed. That is a D8 of damage. His arrow goes whistling through the air. Does 8 points of damage. Oh, I always dislike when this is the case. That frog, that giant toad, has 1 hit point left. Just wasn't meant to be. So we've got one who's restraining. That's the one that has 1 hit point left. And then there's 2 others that have 9 hit points. Unfortunately, just doesn't quite take it out. It's the arrow lodges just behind its eye, and it does like kind of stiffen up, almost like it's going to die. And Reeve like looks at it expectantly, and then it just kind of settles back in, a little dazed. Probably not much that it, like, not with a whole bunch of awareness to what's going on any longer. However, it is still restraining Sorsha, which is important. Let's see if Nio can help out with that. Nio pulls back an arrow into her longbow, takes a shot. She needs a 12 or better. Got a 13, making it just over. D8. Can't not kill this thing, but with 1 hit point, She manages to reduce it to 0. It goes limp. The tongue relaxes and kind of like it's still stuck to Sorsha's armor a little bit, but it doesn't appear that it is any longer restraining her. However, that is everyone's turn. Nope, Sorsha hasn't gone yet. She looks at the toad who bit her, raises up the other arm, kind of pulls free of the one that was restraining her. That arm is the one that has the massive shield, and as Reeve watches, he notices that the edges of it are kind of carved or forged in a way that there's like spikes at the top. They're flat, but they're very angular, and she goes to smash them into this creature. She's doing a melee might check. She only needs a 6. Roll a 15. Perfect. That shield does a d6 of damage. Got a 5. More than half. That's all that matters. There's a spray of kind of that greenish blood of the toads as she smashes the shield down on it. And that's everything she can do. Alright, so there was the toad that missed her. It turns at and looks at Pain, who is not wrapped in essentially a steel can or a bunch of like plates on her splint armor like Sorsha has. No, in fact, Pain is not wearing armor at all, and so that toad is like, this is going to be way easier, and it's going to attempt to hit her with its tongue. She's going to need to reflex this, even though... So reflex avoids area effects and attacks. I'm not calling it an area effect, but that tongue could still restrain her. So she's trying to get out of the way rather than enduring the damage that's coming in, right? So she needs an 11 or above to dodge out of the way. That's the 17. Easily steps out of the way as the tongue lashes out, and I believe they only get they do get a bite as well, but the creature isn't restrained, so that's good. It does jump forward and tries to take a bite of this one. She is going of Pain. She is going to do endure on this one, so she needs an 8 or better. Got a 6, not enough. As the toad chomps down, is going to do d6 of damage. And Pain does not, she's 1, not full on her hit points, and 2, this thing does a d6, could easily roll. Oh no! For the first time, maybe, Pain cries out in shock and pain. She goes to 0 hit points. Now, I just played a different system, and I'm not sure I remember what Vagabond's 0 hit points is. So we're going system is. So we're going to come back to that in a moment. Whether or not, I don't remember if she dies outright or if there's a chance to save her. We're going to find out. That being said, that was that toad. The other one that bit Sorsha is going to try and do so again. Sorsha's going to need an endure on this. All I need is a 6 or above. That was... Got a 9. The frog or the toad chomps down again and easily, not so much deflects it, but her armor protects her from the incoming damage. Those are both toads. So then we come back to Pain. Pain is unconscious, so we need to look up death rules now. Oh no! Let's go to combat. All right. Beings can die in any of the following ways. Their HP is reduced to 0. Their body is destroyed. They have 5 fatigue. Dead beings can't regain HP. Upon death, if your hero dies, you are encouraged to make a new one and rejoin the party when possible. If your table can come up with a reason for why your hero survived, that's also fine. Quick play and fun should be prioritized. So sad. But not something that we can deal with in combat right now. So Nio goes next. Seeing Reeve fall. Sorry, seeing Nio seeing Pain fall. There is like this strangled cry that Reeve hears coming from Nio. And then the twang of the bow. Shooting at the one that took her out. So the one that hasn't been damaged yet. She needs a 6 or above. No, wait, sorry. A 12 or above. It goes wide. In her fury and anguish, she just wasn't aiming very well. Reeve, you know what? He aims for the same one. He needs a 6 or better. Oh, the dice! The dice! The arrow goes wide over its head. And standing next to Pain's body, Sorsha looks over, curses in a language that Reeve does not understand. And even though there's the one that's in front of her, brings that shield down towards the one that took down her friend. She needs a 6 or better. Got an 11. That's good. That's going to do D6 points of damage. Only 3 for this one. This is rough. This is rough. The giant toads. The one seeing that Pain is not moving. Oh, I'm going to roll for this. On an odd, the toad picks up Payne's body and jumps away. On an even, it attacks Sorsha. It's going to attack Sorsha. She's going to use Endure as it bites down. Just made it. Yep, she needed 6. I got a 7. There's like almost the screeching of, well, there's the screeching of teeth against armor as this toad bites down on Sorsha's armor. One more toad, the one that bit her originally. Also an Endure. She needs a 6 or above. Oh no. Oh no. Sorsha has 2 hit points. Oh, that was what I rolled. There's not even a cry of pain or anything as the toad behind Sorsha chomps down on her. Nio and Reeve can see like blood just kind of spray, and then the crumpled form of this dwarf collapses to the ground. In anger, Nio screams out and shoots the one that just took down Sorsha, or shoots at her, or at it. Let's see. Not good enough. Let's see. Just double checking. She needed a 12. Reeve looks at the pole for the skiff, but also saw that that first toad jump into the water, how smooth it and quickly it moved. He's gonna shoot at the one that Nio just tried to shoot at. I believe he needs a 6 or above. Yep. Got a 14. Excellent. Sorry, let me double check the die here. D8. Lodges it right. It goes through one eye and actually like through the other eye as well. Most of the shaft like erupts from the other side of the thing's head and it just collapses to the ground. There's one left. I'm going to make a morality roll, or not a morality, a morale roll for this one because it is now alone. Do. Okay, well, a 2d6, if it is higher than its morale, it retreats. Its morale is 6. Got a 10. With a deep croak, it jumps into the water, but Reeve quickly sees, like watching for it to arrive, it sees it swimming off in another direction. Sorsha almost jumps into the water, but then looks around and runs over and grabs the pole and begins pushing the... Actually, even before she can start pushing, Reeve is there, takes the pole, and she's like, "I've got this," and begins pushing the skiff towards the island that Payne and Sorsha now lay on. As they arrive, Nio jumps off, landing on her feet, and then quickly goes to her knees by her friends. Reeve just kind of watches her from the skiff, not sure of what to do, what to say. After a few minutes, he pushes the skiff to a point where it won't float away, and then steps onto the island with Sorsha and just puts his hand on her back. I don't think he says anything, but he just waits. And I think that's a really terrible place to end, but I think it's the perfect place to end for this week. Yeah. So, that's rough. Those guys were ouchy. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Those of you who came in and lurked, those who were chatting, I appreciate everybody. Good to see you. If you didn't know already, we are playing some Vagabond by Land of the Blind. We're playing through this here module, Night of the Walking Dead. It's a Reevnolb AD&D second module, and sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes it eats you. That's very true, Ty. Thanks, Stacy. I appreciate it. Thank you for the compliment. I hope you had fun. We'll see how things go next time. I was not expecting all of these characters to die so early on, but those toads were rough. I honestly thought the dwarf was gonna like just beat them into submission, but the dice told a different story, didn't they? And if you haven't already, head over to DD Dice. Check them out. They're the interface that we've been using to roll dice today that show up on the screen. There's a whole bunch of amazing dice on there that you can use to roll in various VTTs like Owlbear Rodeo, Tailspire. Check them out. You can even use them in Discord. We played a session of You Wake Up in a Strange Place this weekend on my Discord, and we used these dice, at least for a while. People do like their physical dice. I totally understand. Tale of the Manticore. I'll have to check that out. I've never heard of it, Ty. Thanks. You can get the module. Did I put this into chat already? Hold on 1 second there, Stacy, and I'll grab the link for you. Hey, Scottish Jeff, good to see you. Thanks for the sub. Much appreciated. Are you playing in tonight's game over on Guild Superior? Not tonight. Well, I appreciate you joining, and we're going to raid over there, except for I don't think they're live quite yet. We ended a little earlier than I was expecting, but that's what happens when your party almost wipes. And now I've got 2 surviving characters mourning dead characters, and that's just a good place to stop. So close, 8 minutes away. I'm not going to make everyone sit around and wait while I wait for them, but if everyone wants to see an awesome cyberpunk game, go out and check House of Eidolons in 8 minutes over on Guild Superior. Let's do one more shout out so you have the link. Go follow them. Awesome folks over there. And thanks for watching tonight. I feel a little sad for our dearly departed NPCs that were going to help Reeve escape from the domains of dread, but now it looks like it's just up to him and this human lady that he knows can't see in the dark. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching tonight or this afternoon. Good to see you. I appreciate it. And we'll see you. Love to see me back in House of Eidolons again with my zombies. That character was so much fun to play, and I can't express how awesome it is of Penborough to have made essentially a class for me to play, because I was just like, I want to be a cyberpunk necromancer. And so he was like, cool, here you go. And now you can get it if you go over to the Kickstarter and do the dollar pre-back. So awesome. Which as soon as I knew about it, I was just like, take my dollar, take my dollar. Looking forward to the finalized book coming out. It's going to be a ton of fun. All right. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. Make sure you head over to Guild Superior. Check out House of Eidolons starting in a few moments here. And we'll see you next Thursday for the next episode of Solo Sagas. Thanks, everybody. Bye.